Hello, and welcome all in to the Ebo podcast. My name is Contumacious and as always, I'm joined by my co-host,
Atreya.
Before now, mysteries had never been discussed or uncovered. But now, Contumacious Ant and Atreya are back for a second season. The MO Podcast.
Hello and welcome all into the MO podcast. As always, you're here with me, Contumacious Ant, and my lovely co-host,
Atreya. I was trying so hard not to laugh because I could hear you breaking. You were grinning. You were breaking. You were trying to remember.
I know. I knew it was coming. I might just actually write down a script for my intro, just so I just read it off the page and then don't get confused.
It's the same intro as every week. I could read it and you could just edit my voice so it's a little bit deeper, and I could just pretend I'm you.
That is what we could do, but yeah, I guess this is all getting cut in the edit. So welcome all in and thank you for joining us. And today we are going to be talking about, well, folklore. Quite frankly, it's not really cryptids or urban legends. This is just straight up.
Fucking is.
Okay, cryptids.
They're real?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've all seen and heard them, maybe. Aldi.
I meant the gnomes. But
well,
okay.
because I hadn't said what you were talking about yet, and last week we left on a cliffhanger of whether it would be one or two, but now you just ruined that, so we'll blow through that.
Sorry.
So, what are you going to be talking about this week, Atreya?
I'm going to be talking about gnomes.
It's a fucking shambles, this, right? We're supposed to be at the pinnacle of our professionalism, and every week now there's something.
I rather enjoy it.
Do you know how hard I work editing this just to make it sound half decent because of us two?
What are you on about? You keep everything in, you daft twat. It's literally no editing goes in whatsoever. You just combine the two of them and stick the intro and outro music on, and bump, there you are, you're done.
That is literally all I do. It gets to Saturday at 10:30 and I go, I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
As if.
And then have to cobble it all together. But
As if you forget us.
as if I work so hard on this every week.
One day this will be really famous and you're going to be sorry that you didn't put as much effort in right at the start.
Why, if it's really famous?
Because of the money that you could have made had you put the effort in right at the start. You could have had an extra, probably 25 years of income.
An extra mansion.
Yes.
Well, then I'll
Or at least an extra pair of tracky bottoms.
burn that bridge when I get to it, won't I? So anyway, I think this has been one of our best introductions to the podcast forever. So you're talking about gnomes. I'm going to be talking about banshees. Now, in the old country, now I can say that because obviously of my
Old.
I was going to say Irish heritage, but okay, fine, fair enough.
Sorry. That one.
Yeah. When the people were out and about doing their daily business, I don't mean number twos, obviously. I mean going to the market and whatnot. If they'd hear a shriek from the forest, then a little young'un would turn around and go, "What the fuck was that?" And the elder of the clan of the group would say, "That there, wee young'un, that there now, that was a banshee, and it'll come and get you in the night if you don't get the tools off the van and tarmac this fucking driveway." So, that's not racist, by the way, because I am Irish by
You
descent.
say that every fucking episode about a different nationality. I am, part Brazilian, or I have links to Brazil. I am part Scottish. I am part Welsh. I am part British. Really, the fact of the matter is, you're all mank.
No, I am a bit of everywhere. My ancestors put it about a bit. They were filth.
Same.
But yeah, the Banshee would be heard screaming at night, and it's part of the Gaelic legend or folklore, really, and it dates back to the 8th century. This was the first time that the actual Banshee was mentioned, and obviously it's spelled in Gaelic. Banshee is an anglicised version, but it's Banshee in Irish, which is kind of the same.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just...
Sounds like an American taking the piss out of it.
Exactly.
Is that a banshee?
Yeah. And we all know that most Americans are Irish by some way, shape or form. So it's basically a foreteller of death. If you hear the Banshees scream, the Banshees wail in the night, someone would be dying around you, really. And it's come... There is kind of some legitimacy in where it's come from, but because it's Gaelic, it overflows into Scottish and Welsh folklore as well. And there's the Scottish Banshee, which are allegedly the spirits of the women that died during childbirth, and any mortal that creeps up on her while she's washing her clothes in a river and suckles on her breasts becomes one of her foster children and gets a wish.
Oh, God, how many grown men have fallen for that?
I know, I mean, you deal with that however you will. I don't... Just Scottish, innit? They're always drunk, I suppose, so...
It's something you would fall for.
I know, well, yeah, if... Jesus, yeah.
Like, just some rando woman coming up to you and go, hey, do you want to suck my tit? I'll give you a wish.
It's not even like that. The mortal has to creep up on her and then suckle at her teeth. And it doesn't even mention if she's naked at the time or if you just like latch on through her tunic or whatever she's wearing.
Many layers of cardigans.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, her appearance varies in the stories. And tradition, I mean, I don't know about traditionally, but you're not really supposed to see her. If you see her, then you're probably the one that's going to die. It's just a scream that represents death. But she's been described as a beautiful young woman, a pale woman in a white dress, a matronly woman with a silver dress and silver hair, an old woman with red eyes, and a headless woman, naked from the waist up, carrying a bowl of blood.
So basically, any form of woman.
Yeah, it is.
Just a female, headless or not.
Yeah, it is a woman. Now, this kind of ties in with the kind of Neolithic cult of the mother, and it's kind of the maiden, the mother, and the crone. The three stages of a woman's life, quote marks, kind of thing. And it's something that was part of the Irish folklore, and then they took it on, and now they're kind of using it as to present the Morrigan, which is the goddess of battles. And this is it, one goddess that becomes three. So there's Morrigan, there's Badab, which takes the form of a crow and causes fear and confusion in enemies, and there's Nieman, who personifies the frenzied havoc of war. Now, there's a lot of symbolism around threes. It's the Trinity, it's the witching hour, and it's the number of musketeers. There's a lot of symbolism with threes in folklore and in occultness, so I just think it was just going round, and they decided to go, you know what, we'll throw that in with the myth as well. I mean, the legend does come from something, I suppose. In the way back olden days, they richer families would have a woman that they would pay to sing sad, mournful songs, and she was called a keening woman, and she would mourn the death of these well-off, well-to-do Irish families, and by singing, like, just Enya-type songs, I suppose, sad and mournful.
Comes to something when you've got to pay somebody to be sad at your funeral, doesn't it?
But the thing is, as well, is that they were actually paid in alcohol.
Oh, sign me up.
So, exactly, what a job.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
She was so lovely. The glass is nearly empty. Could you just top that up for me, please? Thank you.
Do you want me to keep crying? Because this Merlot shit. But the problem
Blow
with...
none, fuck off.
I'm Lambrini or nothing. But the problem with being paid in alcohol is that they would become alcoholics and then get chased out of town. I mean, I don't necessarily know if they became alcoholics because of the amount of people that were dying, because it's going to take a while, or if they were just kept on the payroll with a retainer of like a bottle of whiskey a day or something, and just at the beck and call to sing at a funeral.
I mean, could they not just sell the alcohol? Like, oh, I've had enough whiskey today. Thanks for the payment, but I'm gonna just sell this bottle to, the other alcoholic down the road, and then I can actually buy, real things for my house. Like curtains and food, clothes. The latest now, that's what I call music.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I did mention that this is an Irish legend, so I don't really think if you're giving an Irish person alcohol, I think their only thought is drink it now, drink all of it now. And I can say that's not racist.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But yeah, and then these alcoholic women were chased out of town and then into the forests or into the heathers, and then I assume they would continue wailing and mourning because they didn't have any alcohol out there.
Feel those feels.
Yeah. So this is kind of where the legend came up, because these women, I don't want to say they were good singers. They're not Kate Perry, but they...
Wow.
I thought is she current?
Katy Perry, but I thought you just threw that in there because of the fireworks song that, I don't like.
Oh, no, I didn't know that, but now I do know that. That's going in the back wallet. We'll keep hold of that. Okay. But yeah, I just thought she was current, and that's what the kids know. I don't know. I personally...
Not very down with the kids, are you, Rant?
No, which is a good thing around my area, especially after all that trouble. But anyway, that'll be on my true crime.
The UK's biggest monsters.
Contumacious ants journey through the courts. Not guilty, though, so... Anyway,
He told all in his podcast. Unabashedly. Be like Ed Kemper.
Yeah, I'd never tell all, because that may be back in front of the judge again. Anyway. So yeah, these women they were chased out, and because they were so associated with death and funerals and the singing, I think this is where this whole folkloric thing kind of perpetuated from. I mean, there is stories of soldiers or warriors running from battle when they hear the scream of the banshee or the hoot of a barn owl. Never do know what it is, but they were either killed by the enemy or killed by their own people as traitors because they were fleeing the battle, which, if you're scared of an owl, then yeah, probably.
Do you also not think that on a battlefield, screams are kind of common?
Yeah, but I mean, have you not seen X-Men Evolution? The Banshee scream is very, very ear-piercing.
I have heard a lot of men scream like little girls.
Don't know what to do with that information. I don't know. My mind's like going, my shelf, my mind. Oh. Whew. I'm not even going to say it because, Why?
Sorry to continue.
I mean...
Why? Because, you know, I hang out with people who get scared by things, you know, like...
Okay.
Not because I'm torturing people in a fucking sex dungeon or something. I'm not a nutter. I'm not...
That isn't where my thought was going, but... It was. It really was.
Good, because I thought it was going to be something, you know, like sexual or... It's like, no, you got more chance of somebody being in my dungeon. Just for, you know... ripping me off with the pizza delivery or something like that.
Wow, yeah.
I like pizza.
Yeah, quite a lot. But yeah, so there is a legend that's kind of associated with a banshee as well, and if you were doing mermaids, it kind of leads into that, but you're not, so Sorry. It doesn't. So you've ruined everything now.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, it's not. It's just.
Should I do research right now?
Yeah, just while I'm speaking, you've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
So there's this comb legend. Usually, if someone comes upon a banshee out in their natural habitat, not when they're screaming, they're usually combing their hair, and if they're startled, they'll drop the comb and then run away from the person. And if the person picks up the comb, then a whole lot of issues, bad luck would befall them, and 3 nights later, or whatever, some amount of time later, there'll become a knocking on the window of this person's home, and they would like have to give the comb back.
Can I have my comb back?
Yeah, my hair's a right mess. You should see it. Oh. But I've not. I found a few places that this comb legend is associated in, but I think again it's just kind of shoehorned in, and it's kind of one of them tales of don't take things that don't belong to you kind of thing. Try to teach people not to steal. It's weird.
Is it though? Is it teaching people not to steal? Because it's just teaching people that if you steal a banshee's comb, the very worst that'll happen is that 3 days later she'll knock on your window and go, "Can I have my comb back?" Oh no, and that's it.
No, during these 3 days, all sorts of things befall these people. There was one story that because it's really like oldie times. It's kind of hard to read. I can barely read English at the best of times, but it apparently someone picked up a comb, and as they went to lean against a tree, they got stuck to the tree for a good amount of time.
Stuck to a tree? Yeah,
so and they couldn't drop the comb. They couldn't release the comb.
Was it a cactus? What kind of tree do you get stuck to?
I mean, I don't know, like I say. I mean, what trees are in Ireland? Like, just
well, definitely not cacti. That's the only tree I can think of you could get stuck to.
Or it was just really sappy, at the time. Okay. And maybe that's what it is. But I don't think it was. It's very.
Seems like a clutching at straws kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's very tied in with the story of the Banshee. Really, I think they were just trying to. They'd come up a bit like Grimm's. They'd come up short, and they needed just to fill out a couple more pages with it, and they were like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" But yeah, the Howl of the Banshee, and apparently the Banshee was only apparent to, or the Howl of the Banshee was only apparent to 6 families in all of Ireland, which were the O'Neills, the O'Donnells, the O'Connors, O'Learys, O'Tooles, and O'Connors. they were the only ones that were supposed to have this gift, I suppose, or forewarning that if you hear the howl of the Banshee, then you're gonna come a cropper. And apparently, King Philip the First of Scotland heard the howl of the Banshee, and a few days later, he met his grisly end.
It's not really a gift, is it?
No, not really. I mean,
do you want to know when you're gonna die?
Don't care. Jesus,
I mean,
soon.
keep drinking them Stellas the way you drink them would be next Tuesday.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think it'd be any surprise to anyone when I pop off this mortal coil.
I know, but you don't want to know, do you? It's just like, oh, I'll just, surprise me whenever.
Yeah.
Although, I guess if you knew, you could max out your credit card before.
See, yeah, that's the thing. You could do stuff. Obviously, I mean, I know we're told you should have to live every day as your last blah-de-blah-de-blah. No one ever does. But it's if you knew, you'd be like, right, fuck it. I'm getting a 3080 GPU. You know what I mean? I'm.
So you can play games for like 2 days before your death?
Yeah.
But that, like, if you were like spending loads of money, it would just be on like drink, because anything else you're not going to have for very long. It'd be like, you know what? I want to run naked down the street with my tits flopping in the wind. And you know what? I don't even care if I get arrested, because I'm not going to stay very long in jail, am I? Because I'll be dead. But it'll make me happy, and I've never done it before. And I'm going to have loads of scones with jam on, and I'm going to buy 20 bottles of champagne just for tonight. Something that's consumable. I'm gonna buy the biggest fucking bucket of flying saucers you've ever seen in your life, and I'm gonna consume them all this evening.
Yeah, you see, I suppose you would. So, and as well, it wasn't like the Banshee came round and did the stabbing. It wasn't that. It was just they were just a predictor of they were an omen of your death, a foretelling. So I don't really. They weren't supposed to be harmful. I mean, there are stories of good and bad banshees, but in the original alliteration, I think they were just the harbinger of this message. They and it all came from the Keening women, I would say, them pissed up wenches out in the forest that were paid to do a job and then drove out for doing that same job, kind of thing. Which is
so say if they were just like kind of special to these families, right? And so say each family had like their own special banshee, right, who looked after their family. What harm would it have done for the banshee to maybe scream at whoever is going to die soon and go, but if you don't go down that ditch that day, I think you'll be all right. Like, give us a hint, and then I can not do whatever it is that's going to kill me. That would be a helpful banshee. This seems like just a pointless addition to your family.
Yeah, but they've kind of like got that you know, that journalistic I don't want to say integrity, but that journalistic thing, you know, like when you're watching a nature film and you're seeing like the elephant starve to death because it can't find a water hole, yet there's a cameraman filming it with 6 litres of water next to him, and he's like, oh, I can't get involved, nothing to do with me. You know, I think they kind of had that written into their contracts that, you know, they're just there to observe, they don't get involved.
Well, I think it's bullshit and it's just mean.
Well, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you, but
it's just a quiet, watch your step, wouldn't have hurt anybody.
Yeah, I mean, could be. Apparently, as well, there was a banshee that appeared to one of these families, and it transpired. I don't know if they had a conversation, but it transpired that they were a leader of several other banshees. And when all these banshees got together and screamed, an important person would die.
Ooh.
Yeah, but if it's only appearing to like these 6 families, I don't know how more important of these families they think it is. Like maybe the Pope or something. But
you can only hear your own family's banshee as well. So it would be like, you know, that scene in Drop Dead Fred where all the imaginary friends are together, but all the kids can only see their own. It would be like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you just be like, oh, the banshee's screaming again, without realising that the banshee is screaming with all the other banshees. So it's actually not going to be somebody from your family that's going to die. It's somebody that's going to be really important. So every time you heard her scream, you could really think that it was a false alarm.
Exactly.
Which renders them completely pointless.
Yes. I mean, I didn't want to wrap it up like that, but yes, to be quite honest with you. And to be honest with you, I think they were just like barn owls and just that were hooting.
I mean, owls can be pretty big.
They can be pretty fucking noisy as well.
Yeah, so if it's dark and, you know, it's the right kind of lighting and you're outside and you just see like the mist on the hill or something and you hear this like screech and you look up and there's this outline of this figure and you could mistake the wings maybe for hair blowing in the wind, and all this whole time it's just been one massive fucking owl.
Just one.
Just one. It's just been like for years. It's just been like, I bet I can get this to watch this. I definitely, I think that's the case.
Talking to all the pigeons, like, watch this idiot, watch what I do here. Watch him run. He'll scream as well, promise you.
Oh, I really hope that's the truth.
I mean, yeah, it makes for a lot better thinking if that is just some owl that's like a right twat.
Love it. I love it.
But yeah, so yeah, that's folklore. It's not real, and it's an owl. So,
but it's kind of real then. Banshees are real. Just they are also owls.
Owls as well. Yeah, yeah. I suppose. Okay. Yeah. So don't go to Ireland because the owls are dicks.
They will punk you.
Yeah, I think that's the moral of the story. Yeah.
It's not don't steal. It's just don't go to Ireland unless you want to be punked by just a owl.
Yeah, just one.
The boy. Yeah, the boy.
It's only one of them.
Yeah.
Up and down Ireland, he must do some miles, but he's a dick.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So yeah, gnomes. What are they, and why do people paint them?
Don't even get me started on the garden variety. I can't even, and I don't understand why people buy them. They are tacky. They are awful. They do not complement anyone's garden. They just make it look like you have a lot of money to spend in B&M. And if you have a lot of money to spend in B&M, there's better fucking things to spend it on, okay? Because they always have really rare chocolate in.
Well, if you've got a lot of money, why are you in B&M?
Well, yes, okay, this is also the point. And if you haven't got a lot of money and you're poor, stop wasting your fucking money on garden gnomes. Get your head a shake. They're awful.
So that anyway was the story of gnomes.
Okay, so traditionally in folklore, they are an earth elemental because each of the elements of the earth has its own, like, protector. Like,
Captain Planet.
Sure, I used to love that. I always wanted the heart ring. Like the water has undines and the earth has gnomes, and so each element has its own protector. And the gnomes live underground, and they're supposed to protect like the ore and the minerals and stuff. And they're also really skilled metal workers, apparently. So great for making swords and that kind of thing. In case, I don't know, maybe they have an Etsy shop. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they are traditionally good at housekeeping, farming tasks, and they kind of are Dobby the house elf. What?
1 second, like housekeeping, like that. And you open the door and there's a little gnome there, like that. Can you help me push this trolley because I can't reach the handles?
I'll probably outright shit myself.
That'd be,
They creep me. They creep me out. Something chronic.
Yeah, I mean, I always have the do not disturb thing on the handle anyway. So that's because you don't want
housekeeping to see the tip of the room. It's tip of the you left the room in.
I don't want to see gnomes pushing a trolley.
I might start having to leave the do not disturb sign up then. Although I feel like I always check out way before time, so I think maybe they arrive after I've already checked out. So I've been lucky so far, I think. But yeah, they are. There's different ones. So in Britain we've got brownies, and they come out at night to clean your house.
Wait a minute.
Don't fucking come to my house, tell you that.
Aren't the brownies something else?
I mean, it's also a kids group that children get forced to attend to socialise, and it's just awful. I think it's a form of children's torture, to be honest, but that's just me.
Yeah, but kids probably deserve it.
Well, I didn't. I didn't want to go.
I mean, maybe not now, but when you were a kid.
I was never a kid.
Wow, okay, so we've got a Benjamin Button thing here.
People used to knock on my door.
Got a Robert Redford thing going on with you.
I used to get my mum to tell people that I was grounded even when I wasn't, because I didn't want to go out and play with anybody. Yeah. I was antisocial as fuck. Kids would knock on my door in the street and they'd be like, "Hi, can't you come out and play?" And my mum would send me down. I'd be like, "I can't come out and play. I'm studying Egyptian hieroglyphics right now, or I'm practicing my basic programming, so you have to find somebody else to play Kiss Chase with, or whatever pointless game you're playing right now, because I have important things to do on my VTech laptop, okay?"
To be honest with you, I'm surprised they ever came back after that.
I got bullied a lot.
It's not
I don't know why. I was super fucking cool. So we have brownies. Germany has the kobolds. Spain has the duendes. Cornwall and Devon has the piskies. And Ireland has leprechauns, obviously.
Why are Cornwall and Devon so special?
I don't know.
What's wrong with brownies? Dicks.
To be honest, I don't even think piskies are kind of... They're a lot... Like, gnomes are fat little old men. But I think piskies are more like the trim version.
Yeah.
They're more like the,
fairies kind of thing. I'd like,
without wings.
Yeah, without wings, I'd consider a fairy to look like. Without wings, more...
Yeah, it's more like
version.
Cornwall and Devon going, we're more upper class and we have nice looking gnomes or something. We don't have fat old men.
I'm glad now they're at the end of the country. They can stay there.
Well, regardless, they sure as shit don't show up to clean my bastard house. And I leave food offerings out every single night. There is always leftover pizza on the bench. They can take as much as they like. There's always a half a pizza. There's always plenty of wine in the fridge, but I never get my house cleaned. I got to do it my bastard self. Also,
in fairness, if wine went missing out of your fridge, you'd know about it and you'd be pissed off.
Oh my god, yeah, I would
regardless if the house was clean or not.
I would be creating summoning circles to summon the gnomes so that I can beat them to death with my shoes. Definitely. So the little old men, about 30 centimetres tall, they've all got beards and they usually dress in green or brown. And, fun fact, they have a king called Gob. What a lovely name.
Oh, wow, okay.
Gob.
Is it not Job?
I mean, it's spelled G-O-B. It says Gob to me. If you want to be pedantic and say Job, it should be an E on the end of that. I think he's called Gob because that sounds more goblin. Wait, it's a gnome.
Wait,
Same
it's
thing.
a gnome, yeah.
Whatever.
Right. We're just Lord of the Ring in it here, aren't we?
So basically, yeah. To be honest, when they were like, they're great metal workers, I just pictured the Mines of Moria. So that was
Gimli,
me.
Innit? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a dwarf. It's not even a gnome. So I think I'm being a bit racist. I'm being a bit like small personist. So sorry, Aunt.
Wow. First off.
See, I didn't look that much into the folklore gnomes because they're boring. What I looked into was real life sightings of gnomes.
Oh, God, here we go. Hobbits.
No, not hobbits. Gnomes.
Gnomes.
Hobbits are taller than gnomes. Hobbits are like 3.5, 4 feet.
Okay.
And, good looking. You've seen Elijah Wood, right? Just don't be bashing on Elijah Wood.
Let's just let that hang there because
I mean, he's pretty hobbit size in real life.
I know, but like, only Elijah. All hobbits are not good looking.
No, because Samwise isn't, is he?
Okay, but I meant like.
I know what you meant.
Fine, fair enough. But
okay,
then you
fine. Well,
anyway, semantic.
Hobbits and gnomes are different, okay? Because hobbits are in proportion, right? So they are just like smaller people. They're just smaller people, okay? They're just like children, like just in proportion.
Yeah.
But gnomes are all,
hung.
Short hands and legs, hung like a mountain donkey, and with a big chubby belly. But so I dove into my back issues of 14 times. Don't fucking judge me.
I'm not. Just...
So, and there was this whole section, because apparently there's been quite a few people, of my community, the tinfoil hatters, that have put together like compendiums of little people sightings and like interactions they've had with little people, and they take it quite seriously. So there was a lot of like eyewitness reports and stuff. Oh, I hear you cracking open another one just for this occasion.
Yeah, I've got to strap in for this, I'll be honest.
You do. Right, so I'll go into the Argentina ones in a bit, but one of the eyewitness records in 14 Times that I really enjoyed, mostly because it was close and I was thinking that would be terrifying. So it says, I was in a friend's car driving back to Nottingham from Darlington, where we'd been to see a band. We didn't have a map and got lost. We became so confused that at one point we found ourselves at the coast. It was around 3 a.m. and my friend pulled into a lay-by on a lonely road to nap. He told me to wake him in 15 minutes. While he slept, I sat quietly watching the clock, but I had a strong feeling we were being watched from behind the car. I thought I would turn around, see nothing, and be reassured. I turned and saw a figure about 3 feet high walking towards the car, peering in. He looked a little like a leprechaun, had a lined face and beard, but he wore a black hooded cloak over a dark-coloured jacket and trousers. I remember he wore a wide black belt and he was dragging a sack over his shoulder, which dragged along the ground.
Fucking hell.
Latest victim. It's a bit Jeepers Creepers, isn't it?
I
saw him clearly.
Dollar sign on it. All this, was
it was a burglar.
Swag written on it.
I saw him clearly. I can't remember if there was a street light in the lay-by or if the car lights were still there on or if there was moonlight. I was so shocked I turned back and woke my friend. I didn't say anything about what I'd seen because I thought I'd imagined it, but when he woke, as he turned to put on his seatbelt, he looked shocked and said, "What's that?" Then he started the car and shot off down the road. I was so frightened that I just stared down at my hands in my lap. Maybe 100 yards down the road, my friend braked suddenly and cried out. I asked him what he'd seen, and he described the same hooded figure, and he'd braked because he thought he saw another one in the road. He told me he had seen these creatures before near his home in Nottingham, and they were always by the road and dragging sacks. Now, I'm not being funny, but if a little dude, right, came towards my car, peered in through the window, and he was dragging a sack, you wouldn't see me for fucking dust. I'll be out of there. Faster than you can say, get rich.
Right, okay. Not that I'm disagreeing with the story, because it isn't my tale to tell, but that's just wrong. How when you're driving back to Nottingham, do you end up on the coast?
Because they got lost. Because they were between Nottingham and Darlington.
I mean, it's... Oh, anyway.
Darlington's not that far from the coast.
Yeah, exactly, but Nottingham's inland, so you're driving inland.
They were lost.
Well, all right, lost. Right, they're after they've gone to see a band, so we all know what goes on at festivals and gigs and stuff.
Well, yeah, but he was driving.
What's your point? Do you honestly think that he's talking about gnomes, right? Do you honestly think he's sensible and going, no, you know what? I will only have still water tonight.
Do you know what made me think that he was sensible and not a drinker and driver?
Go on.
He put his seatbelt on before he raced away. Clunk and click on every trip.
That is a fair point. That is a fair
If you were
point
drunk.
there, actually.
Drunk and terrified, you'd be like, fuck this noise. And you just speed away. He remembered to put his seatbelt on.
Maybe. But it was a 15-minute nap.
See, this is an entirely
15
plausible
minutes.
story. I don't know why you think it isn't.
Fair enough. Yes, there was a small person burglar.
Two small people burglars.
Two, yes, indeed.
Wearing hoods.
Carrying swag bags.
Yes. Okay, fine. So, there was one that was really famous, right? And it was kind of like, you know, the Cottingley Fairies, you know, those two girls that took pictures of fairies that weren't fairies. So it was kind of the same sort of thing. In 1979, there was a group of kids that had sneaked into Warnell Park in Nottingham.
Oh, here we go.
And they claimed they were playing, and they said that they just saw this procession of little people, right? Get this, right? About half their size, so about 3 feet tall, driving red bubble cars and wearing pointy hats.
What?
And these little people chased them around the park, but in a fun way, kind of tag you're it kind of thing. And they laughed and had fun for ages. And there was, I think, 6 or 7 kids, and they all went to the police about this thing that happened to them, and it happened to them on a separate occasion as well. And the police were just like, oh, these kids, this is a waste of police time. But all of them told exactly the same story. They were absolutely adamant, even when all the grown-ups said, you're lying, there's no such thing as little people. Okay, they were like, there fucking is, because we just seen them in their cars beeping their horns at us, so figure it out, read the room. And they were 100% adamant, and that was like a big story at the time. And loads of people went, like, basically, Warnell Park was swamped with people afterwards trying to fucking hunt gnomes and stuff. And loads of people actually did say, I mean, a lot of it could be bullshit, but don't say this whole thing is bullshit. But a lot of people did have exactly the same experiences. And they did mention the bubble cars, which actually feature in a lot of the gnome stories, a lot of the real life sightings of gnomes. For some strange reason, like, this must be their car of choice. I don't even know what a bubble car is. Is it like a beetle? That's kind of a bubble car.
It's like a, what are them horrible 2-seater
smart car.
Smart cars, but with a literal bubble on the top of it. They were first famous in the 80s and 90s. Well, no, maybe not 90s, but in the 80s they were. I mean, with that, I just have to ask: was there a circus in Nottingham at this time? And
I mean,
maybe it
didn't say, but if there was, then clearly the little people in the circus with their clown cars enjoyed spending every evening in Warnell Park and used to hide from people. Like, why would you not just be like, yep, that was me in the bubble car. I take autographs, but it's 20 quid.
I'll be honest with you, like, I'm not going to be honest with you because I'll probably get cancelled. But if I was a little person, I'd be jumping out on people from everywhere.
Well, this is the thing, though. There was never any record, and to date, there has never been any record of any gnomes attacking anybody or scaring anybody. I mean, other than, you know, it's a little person running across the road dressed like a gnome, and that scares the shit out of people. But actually, like, deliberately scaring people, there is no evidence of this ever happening. They're just kind of mischievous, getting on with their own lives, and they just happen to cross paths with humans.
Do you know why that is? Because
why?
the people that they've killed are dead, and we've never found the bodies.
Is that what it is? Well,
yeah.
That's because they were dragging them across the road in giant sacks.
Well, that's it.
Dumping them into the sea by the coast.
When they find a body, the first thought of DCI, whoever, isn't another gnome murderer on the loose, is it? It's
Maybe that's why there's so many unsolved murders.
Exactly. It's the gnomes. The gnomes did it.
Yeah. Solved it. Nailed it.
Solved
Another one.
it. Done.
Tell you what, Murder Island need me. So I'll move on to the interesting one then. So the interesting one is the videos that went viral in 2008 in Argentina And they were like they were on the front cover of all the newspapers, and they were in all the magazines, and YouTube just went nuts. These group of kids, they were just hanging out in Argentina on their 2008 phones, filming each other and having a bit crack. And they just kind of look over, like behind them, and the kid with the camera phone like pans the camera around, and there's just this, I mean, it looks like a little person dressed like a gnome, just kind of sidestepping across the road. And it just moves in this so weird, not very human-like way, like exactly how you would imagine a gnome to look. And it's just moving across the road. And obviously they shit themselves and they run back home. And then another group of kids film the same kind of thing where they actually come across this gnome and they back it into a corner. They like actually try and hunt it down, and they have it like backed up against this wall. And it's kind of, I mean, the 2008 potato phone cameras, you know, it was shit quality, but it basically makes a run for it, and you see it run away, and then they all scream because it ran away, and it moves really awkwardly. But it was super, super freaky. The videos are on YouTube, and you get the people that are like, it's a monkey in a costume, right? Okay, I know how a monkey moves. I've seen Mighty Joe Young, okay? I've been to Monkey World. I know how fucking monkeys move, and they do not move like that. That is how a little person in a gnome outfit moves. And then you get people like, oh, it was a puppet. Well, the puppeteer is a master, because that was some really smooth movements. Like, really smooth. Like, what do you call her from The Sound of Music? High on the hill was a lonely goat head. Her, Maria von Trapp. It would have put her to shame with her puppeteering, you know? It was... What?
Yeah.
It's serious.
I'm sorry, while you were doing that, I was just watching them videos. Yeah, and
You're watching the video.
A monkey.
It's not a fucking monkey!
It's a monkey.
It's not a monkey. It is most definitely not a monkey. Did you see the other one where they've got the thing pressed up against? It's far too small to be anything even remotely like a monkey.
Okay.
And there's another one where this woman's filming her toddler in the kitchen, and this like little person runs past, and she said that for like weeks before, her baby's like talking to somebody and playing with somebody, that every time she comes in the room it stops and there's nobody there. And she catches this figure running across the camera through the kitchen. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. People are like, oh, it's CGI, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe, but it's well done if it is. So, but in terms of real life gnomes that you will actually take my word for and actually believe, because it actually happened and is real proof, even though the rest of them are fucking real as well. So says me and my community. In the 1800s.
No, here we go.
No, it's legit. It's legit.
Of course, this was when facts was just reported everywhere.
Yes, it's legit, and you'll see why it can't be misconstrued as anything other than what it is. It genuinely is true. In the 1800s, rich people paid poor people to dress up as gnomes and use them as ornaments in their gardens. And it was a very well-paid job, and you just had to stand there all day in a costume in some rich person's garden, pretending to be an ornament on their lawn.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean,
I bet those people were paid less than the B&M
it's honest work.
garden gnomes.
That is okay. I can believe
you can
that.
Google it if you don't believe me. It's true.
No. I mean, no. I will.
Oh, okay. I see
one.
how this is. Okay, so you don't believe me about the Argentina gnome that you convinced is a monkey, but you'll believe me that real people stand in people's gardens and pretend to be garden gnomes, because that's not creepy at all.
No, it is real creepy. But then there's the living chess sets and stuff like that. Who spends their day doing that? What?
Yeah, but you can actually do something with that. You can play chess. You're like, what the fuck are you doing with some randos standing in your garden wearing a hat?
I tell you what, like, literally, right, you say that, but what's the past year been like? Right? None of us have left our room. We've all been stood in one spot for how long? 8 hours, 9 hours a day, whatever we work, and then you're saying just because you put a hat on and holding a fishing rod, that's weird. in the outside, getting some fresh air.
Not in your own garden. In somebody else's garden that they've paid you to stand in, and just stand there all day doing nothing, just being it. And would you think there was competitions like? Well, my poor person is clearly better looking than your poor person. Your poor person's shit. Hope you didn't pay very much for that poor person.
Oh, God. Do you think they painted him?
God, I hope so.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'd do it if I had the money.
Sounds like the kind of thing that happens in the Midlands and in the South. I don't think people fall for it up north.
No, they'd be like, the fuck is Bill doing in that garden?
Oi, knob!
I think that's one of the things that we Northerners just couldn't stay still. They'd have to be able to bend down and pick the canistella up or something.
But
every now and then.
That's the thing. We're so often drunk that we find it impossible to stand still because we always got a wobble on.
Well, exactly. That's yeah. It's definitely a more.
It's a South thing. There's only the Southerners that could think of ways to benefit from poor people.
Indeed.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, I think we've insulted everybody this episode.
Is that not our aim? Hey, Ant, do you want a job?
Well, yeah. Look, God's is smaller than me.
Hey, I've got a big garden. Plenty of room for the pair of you. I'll pay you in alcohol.
Oh, God, I'm there. Right, I'm on my
Bring
way.
your best point you have.
Right. My best one? Okay. Oh, I'll have to have a look. I've got several.
They're real, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, they've got to have come from somewhere, and there is okay. There are small people in the world, obviously, and I don't really think like gnomes draw from that kind of ableism, that kind of, putting someone down, going, "Hi, you kind of like this," and this is where they draw that from.
No, those are small people. They're not elemental protectors.
Yeah, there's something else going on with it.
But... I mean, there's been sightings of gnomes for hundreds of years. There has. There's been sightings.
No.
I have back issues. I have 14 times from 1997. Okay.
That doesn't surprise anybody listening to this.
There's some good stuff in there.
It is.
It's where bedtime stories gets all their material.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's run by guys with big bushy beards who don't shower.
How dare you talk about Charles Fort like that? But no, it has to have come from somewhere. Usually in folklore, there's a grain of truth that comes from somewhere back in the day. So I don't feel like somebody saw a little person walking across the street and went, "Oh my God, an elemental protector who's sent by God to make sure that all of the precious ores and minerals underground are kept safe. And then when they die, they dissolve back into the element that they are. And they have a king called God, Job, whatever."
Job.
I feel like it's a bit of a stretch to misidentify a small person to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Especially when they're in their bubble cars. The fuck did the bubble cars come from?
I don't know. I feel like we should have had Warwick Davis as a guest speaker. He could have answered all these questions.
Yeah, he could have. He was at Manchester Comic-Con 4 years ago.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I love Warwick Davis so much.
And so was Rimmer. Arnold Rimmer.
Who's that?
Chris Brittus. Rimmer from Red Dwarf.
Oh, I'm not a Red Dwarf fan. The woman who does the voice, the computer voice, you know her. She.
Holly.
Yeah, Holly. She was at Peter Lee Comic Con, so that's how well known Red Dwarf is.
Hartridge.
Yeah.
Last time I went, I know this is digressing, but last time I went, we had Merle from Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have real famous people.
Well, he was charging £45 for a signed picture.
I see. Holly was only charging 20.
Yeah, I think Britas and it's British Empire.
Yes,
Chris Barry.
I know who you mean now.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But Warwick and him were only charging 20.
Oh, I love Warwick.
And we had the other one, but the one from Guardians of the Galaxy. So, because Merle plays the blue dude.
Yes.
We had the other guy who was kind of the one part of the Merle's crew, but he gets more speaking time on it. We had him as well, and he was only charging £25. Because he weren't as famous, I suppose. But
you get real celebrities.
Of course.
Devastated.
Of course. We ain't no 2-bit operation.
We are.
Yeah.
Devastated. I want to meet Warwick Davis. He's my hero, and he's fucking hilarious.
He's a goddamn legend. I love him.
I absolutely adore him.
Willow. Great film.
It's an amazing film. I love Willow.
No, he is a goddamn genius. But yeah, on that digression and bombshell, we shall call it time on this meandering podcast.
What's next week?
So next week, I meant to say this earlier at the beginning so you could think about it, but obviously professionalism fires through and I forgot.
So you don't know.
Paranormal.
Okay.
So we're on the paranormal experiences next week.
Right, okay.
I meant to tell you this before we actually started recording, just so you could have a think. I'm
just consulting my bookcase, 2 secs.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I am going to be doing the Guaparanga Reservoir Mutilation.
Oh, I love that one.
Yes.
Oh, that's gory as shit.
I can do that because obviously, as we all know, I am Brazilian.
Half a quarter Brazilian.
Yes, I have fingers in every pies. I know.
Oh, dude. Your wife is going to divorce you.
Didn't mean to say that, but
you kind of did. You totally did.
Anyway, I'll be doing that one, and it is horrible. So you've been warned.
Indeed, and I'm going to do the Battersea Poltergeist.
Oh. Well, that's interesting one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Is that... No, hang on a minute. Am I thinking of the right one?
You're thinking of the Enfield Haunting.
Yes, I was. Yes, thank you.
No, this is a different one.
Right, I'm not even going to try and think of what it may be. But that was the story of the Banshee and the Gnomes. Which obviously are called gnomes, but I like saying gnomes because it's funnier. That's how it's spelt.
And my dad genuinely did think it was Gnomeo and Juliet. No, Gomeo and Juliet, he said. We went to the cinema once and he walked past the little stand and he went, "Hey, Gomeo and Juliet, that looks good." I was like, "Oh, Dad, you know what? Doesn't matter. Just, no, Dad,
no.
Come on, this way."
For a start, it's cartoon.
Yeah, he loves those.
And for seconds, just no.
Gomeo.
Just you should have just took him to see West Side Story. It'd be
Oh God, he would hate that. Just because you love it all.
It's gonna be your rumble. Anyway, now
I want that as my ringtone.
Truly on that bombshell, getting edited.
Yeah.
Truly on that bombshell. Thank you all so much for joining us this week, and we shall be back next week. As always, I've been Consummation Sam,
And I've been.
thank you so much, and
Bye.
The MO Podcast. The MO Podcast.